I set my goals in business entrepreneurially. My first thought after I set my goals is who can help me get there? The reality is that if you get in alignment with people, you can make anything happen. So when you go out and you say, all right, I want to buy this building, your first thought is do I have what resources do I need to make this happen? It could be a resource of just a great attorney to negotiate a contract. It could be the resource of raising capital. It could be the resource of needing an operator to come in and operate that business and to increase your revenue overnight because they find some holes that are there. They can clean up the numbers, increase rents, whatever it is. Think about it first of who do I need?
Hello, and welcome to the Infinite Financial Freedom Podcast, where we empower you with financial literacy and guide you on your journey to financial freedom. I'm Josh Mettle, and today I'm joined by Jarrod Guy Randolph, an entrepreneur who's built two eight-figure companies, raised over $300 million in investment capital, closed more than $2 billion in New York City real estate transactions. And for 25 years, Jarrod has been scaling businesses by mastering 5 key disciplines: business finance, investing, growth strategy, team leadership, and relationship capital, which is what we're really going to get into today. He helps 7-figure founders do the same thing using his proven Buying F.A.V.O.R operating system. That's F-A-V-O-R. We're going to dig into that, and activating existing networks to scale faster with less effort. Jarrod, it's great to see you, my friend. How the hell are you?
Brother, thank you for having me. I'm excited.
This is going to be a great podcast. Jarrod and I met at an entrepreneur networking event called Immersion that's put on by our friend Jesse Ray. I got to spend a couple of days with Jarrod. I got to see one of his keynote speeches, and I can tell you that we are all in for a treat. You're going to learn a lot from this guy. So Jarrod, let's kind of kick off, man. Just give a little bit of background on you. So your journey started with a push mower and has led to building 2 8-figure companies. What mindset shifts made that leap from where you came from and where you are today possible?
It's been the people that I've been surrounded by. The mindset shift came from having the right mentors at the right time in my life that helped me realize what that next big step looked like. I started, as you said, with a push mower. That was about at 12 years old, went into real estate at 16, 25 years later, still actively involved in real estate. I have another payments business, which I love. And now I'm creating content and programming around this operating system. And I've done all of that because of the relationship capital that I've built over the years.
So as you look back over that period of years, what were the most pivotal moments that either accelerated your growth or kind of put you on a different path that has led to this success?
The most pivotal moments have been the times where crap hit the fan, we'll put it that way. And that's happened more than once in my life. And the reason I say it's pivotal is because it was very humbling. So let's take 2008, the great financial crisis hit. I was working in real estate in New York City, doing on-site sales and management for luxury condominium towers. So a developer would come to us and say, got 200,000 square feet, what do I build? We put the project together for them over a 3, 4, 5-year period. So I was doing that, lost my job. At that point in time, I was still in my early 20s and making a really good 6-figure salary. And that went away overnight. And I had to figure out how to pick up the pieces because it was either pick up the pieces, make some money, or out on the street. So what I did at that point is, again, humbled myself, went to the people that I knew that I had great relationships with and said, what do I do next? And that's when a lot of my mentors said, you've got a great network, go out and be a broker. You know real estate, you have the relationships to get good deals done, even though it's a tough market. And I built a really strong resale business and working with big investors investing in the city where I was able to pick up and took that, what was 6 figures I was making a year, and then jumped to in a 18-month period, making 7 figures in a year. So it was leveraging the fact that I had that point in my life, which was a low point of losing that job, to saying, hey, you've got to pick up and keep moving.
I love it. I absolutely love it. It's interesting that you brought that up, that the pivotal moments were the down moments, right? That's where we had the opportunity to learn the most. I was recently reread the quote from Theodore Roosevelt about the man in the arena. Are you familiar with that quote?
Probably, but read it.
Okay, I'm going to read it because I think it is so important to entrepreneurs and very relevant. So I just pulled this up really quickly. So it says, "The man in the arena, it is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes up short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who
Yes.
does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat."
Yes.
I think that is the entrepreneur's code, right?
Mhm.
There's a great, there was a picture that I saw about entrepreneurialism, and it said the life of entrepreneurialism summed up in two words. And it's like 27 F bombs. F, 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 F. And then it said, yes, followed by 27 F bombs, and then another yes. But that's the journey of an entrepreneur, isn't it?
You know, what I realized, I was asked the other day on another podcast interview, what would you say to 20-year-old Jarrod? And
Mm,
not to everyone else, but to 20-year-old Jarrod. And there were two things. One was read more, and we can get into that because I'm a voracious reader. But the second one was live below your means.
mm.
And the reason I'm bringing that up is because if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you actually need to be conservative in certain areas so you can go over the top and take more risk in other areas. And you have to toe the line because you might have people who will give you advice that will hold you back. And by nature, we're mavericks, we're renegades as entrepreneurs, and we want to get out there and hustle and hit it hard and try new things. You have to find the balance and have the right people around you advising you on how to create that core, create that base, so you can be out there in arena, attacking things the way that you want to, and kind of living on the edge and having more risk. So finding that balance is going to be really important for you. It took me a long time. It wasn't until I was in my 30s that I figured out that balance. And I
Sure.
was $1.8 million in debt. That's another story that we could talk about later on in 2015. But we do have to figure out that balance. So I'm all about grinding, being out there in arena, hitting it hard, taking risk, but you can leverage the people and your mentors in a much higher elevated way that can help you see clearly the path to get to what you want without all of the blood, sweat, and tears. And it took me a long time to learn that.
Let's dig into that just a little bit more.
Mm.
How do you how do you find those mentors? How do you cultivate those mentors? How do you how do you get them to have favor, if you will, towards
Mhm.
wanting to help you on your journey?
Hmm. So one thing that's really important is we must recognize that we're all one relationship away,
Mm.
not one sales funnel away. We're not one ad away. We're one relationship away. And you find those relationships in the most valuable app that's on your phone, which is your contacts. It's the people that you know, like, and trust that you've already built relationship capital with that you can tap into that can help solve a problem, raise capital for you, give access to a deal, give you that intellectual mind share that you need to set you on the right path. We just have to learn to ask. And the way we get comfortable learning to ask is we got to give to the people who are in our network first. Give, 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 and then you earn the right to make the ask. That's how you build really strong relationship capital. Buying Favor, which you brought up in the beginning, which is our operating system, it enables you to turn those relationships into capital from an entrepreneurial standpoint. But the way in which you do that is you make sure that you're of value to your network. So they're always willing to help you. That's how you advance. And that's how you advance to that next level quickly. And what the most successful entrepreneurs do is learn to leverage their networks by aligning.
Mm. Warren Buffett talks about creating economic goodwill inside of a business. And he likes to buy businesses that have a lot of economic goodwill. He calls it an asset that you can't monetize on the balance sheet. It doesn't show up as a line item, but it monetizes as ongoing revenue to the business. An example of this might be Disney, right? There are people out there that have had childhood memories of the happiest place in earth, whether you like Disney or not. This is, it's created a lot of economic goodwill. And so he wants to buy businesses that have economic goodwill. But what you're saying is relational economic goodwill. Like you're making deposits in those relationships, creating economic goodwill in relationships for the times that you want to make a withdrawal. So let's define the favor framework for us, and let's get into that.
Absolutely. So let's talk about FAVOR itself. It's an acronym. It's an acronym for 5 categories: your friends, your associates, vendors, organizations, and relatives. These are the core people that you already have these relationships with. Again, know, like, and trust, where you can knock on the door, send an email, pick up the phone and call to ask them to help you to get to that next step. And I'll give you an example. So I had, and we'll keep this along the lines of real estate, because I know you have a lot of people in real estate who listen to this podcast. One of the clients who I have, who's a part of the cohort that I'm currently running, he's a very big attorney, and he's got about $500,000 that he wants to invest. And he's been struggling because he wants to create this passive income to invest this $500,000. And his goal is to create enough passive income to cover his mortgage. And that would roughly be about $75,000 a year. And I asked him, I said, okay, if you want to invest in real estate, because that's the focus that he has right now. Says, who do you know in your network who's currently doing something, investing in network, in real estate, developing, whatever they're doing? He says, oh, I know 5 different people. And he gave me exactly what each one of those individuals are doing. And I said, okay, there's 2 or 3 of them that need capital at any given time. He says, yeah, I mean, they get hard money loans, they do X, Y, and Z, they look for LPs, and says, all right, you've got $500,000 to invest. You want $75,000 a year. So that means if you invest that $500,000, you need about 15% return. I want you to go to these 3 people who you know, like, and trust, and one was a college roommate, and say, hey, if I were to create a hard money product for you and lend you this money at 15%, would you have interest? All 3 of them raise their hand and go, yes, because he's not coming in as an LP where they're going to have to double his money. He's coming into somebody who's willing to give them the money that they need to trade in and out of deals quickly and create the cash flow that he wants. So it's a win-win situation. So he solved that problem through one was friends, and 2 of them were vendors that he knew, because they were both contractors that he'd worked with to do work on his own home. He was able to tap into that network very easily and get to a place overnight where he was creating that passive income. He didn't have to go to people he didn't know. He didn't have to have that uncertainty of dealing with a new person. He dealt with someone he had a relationship with for years, solved his problem. It solved their problem. So everybody won. That's how you build major relationship capital with people.
I love it. I've got 2 questions for you. The second question, which I'll give you a minute to noodle on, is how do you identify these top 25 relationships and turn them into a growth catalyst for your business or your investments or whatever you're trying to accomplish? But first, I want to go back to something you said earlier, which I don't think most people think of this the same way that you are, which is the most important app in your phone is your contacts. So what is your practice? What are your systems around creating favor with those people in your Rolodex? Like, I'm guessing there is a consistent cadence or intentionality that you pour into those people before you ever ask for a favor. So what does that look like for you?
This is not rocket science. It's literally as simple as, if I think about Josh, I'm going to text you. How you doing? I read this article. I think it's interesting. I met this person. I want to connect you with them. There's a VC that I have a relationship with through one of my friends who actually does some operational consulting for me. And she's my friend said, who was doing the consulting, talk to her, give her some mindset shifts around how to go out and engage and raise capital. So as we started talking, I liked her product. I liked her. She has had 3 successful funds. So you know what I did? And I get nothing out of it. I picked up my phone and I text 5 different friends that I know. Hey, I met a woman today. She's got a really interesting VC product I think you should take a look at. Now she's talking to 2 of them about making a multi-million-dollar investment. I added value to my network in the moment because there's no reason for me not to. If I read an interesting article and it pertains to a conversation I had 6 months ago with someone, I'm going to send that to them and say, hey, I'm thinking of you. You are top of mind. I read this really interesting article. This might be able to help you with the leadership challenges you're having in your business. Or you and your kids should go to this dance recital because I know your daughter loves ballet and XYZ ballet is in town. Those little things, those little nuggets, if you're already connecting your dots in the brain, that means there's energy around it. Reach out to the person, and hands down, 99% of the time they go, oh my God, I was just thinking about you a week ago, 2 weeks ago. I wanted to pick up the phone and call you. You think about people, you align with people energetically for a reason. Reach out to them. That's one of the simplest, most easy, low-hanging fruit things to do to really engage your network and build that relational capital.
And so, Jarrod, as you see it, what is the value in doing that, right? We only have so many hours in the day, and we have to spend our time doing the things that ideally are going to give us the highest yield. So why would I do that? What is the advantage of being intentional around those connections?
So the way I look at it is, all of us as entrepreneurs, as successful people, we do not need to meet anyone else beyond today. We just need to connect the dots looking backwards. And I don't mean connect the dots from the standpoint of like operations. I mean, connect the dots in terms of people, because we are all here because of people. A man and a woman made us. So number one, we had that help to get here and to be present in this life. Then there's people who gave us encouragement or discouragement that drove us to do what we're doing today. And it was all happened by divine intervention. So because we have the connectivity with each one of those individuals already, it's important that we continue to pay that forward, because you never know what's going to come out of it. So I run a dinner series. I've ran it for the last 10 years called Headliner Series in New York City. Executives, family offices, entrepreneurs, we do some really kick butt dinners. I had a gentleman who has come to 3 of my dinners, and I want to tell you the name of the story I'm getting ready to tell you, but I can't tell you the name. He emailed me out of the blue, never asked for anything. He was a friend of a friend. She's like, you should know this guy. You should be in his circle. Have him come to your dinners. He came to 3 different dinners within the last 7 months. He emailed me out of the blue and said, hey, a buddy of mine's in town. All I will say is he's a very famous offer. And dude, Josh, he is like a very famous offer. Like, I could get heads of state to come to this dinner. He goes, he normally charges $75,000 to $100,000 for a dinner, but I could have him do me a favor, which he's not familiar with Buying F.A.V.O.R, but he said, do me a solid, a favor, and be a headliner for a dinner for you. I just want to make sure there's really good people around the table in September.
Wow.
This is going to be a game-changing dinner for me. The level I've been trying to take this organization to for the last 10 years, he's taking me there with one individual, one introduction, one dinner. And the people that I put around the table are going to be game changers for my organization. I did it because I enjoy putting the right people in the right room, having the right conversation, and it has paid in spades. You don't even have to be super direct. It doesn't have to be self-serving. Serve others, and they will serve you in return.
Man, that's favor on fire, right? You've done him a favor. The favor that he's now going to give you, you're giving to the 10 or 12 people that are going to be around that intimate table. And who knows where that favor you're creating for all those people, who knows how the reciprocity kicks in, and they're all like, that was mind blowing. How do I now do something amazing for Jarrod?
Exactly. So there's components of it, and you hit the nail on the head. It's all about that law of reciprocity. When someone does something for you, you have a sense of obligation, albeit false. Meaning, if they're doing something genuine and authentic, you don't really owe them anything. But the law of reciprocity, we want to help, we want to give back. So even though you might help someone in a way that doesn't seem like it's going to serve you, if they know, like, and trust you, it's key that they understand what you're doing and what you're looking for. And you have to be smart enough to be able to connect the dots. But you can then be able to go to that person and say, hey, I need help with X, Y, and Z. So I had an investor that I advised for, pretty big investor, who was having some challenges finding deals in his marketplace. And I said to him, I said, well, you have a CPA? He says, yeah, we have like 3 different CPAs for the projects we're working on. And you have real estate attorneys. He says, yeah, there's 2 that I work with over the years. They're vendors for him and he has a good relationship with them. I said, well, have you reached out to them lately? Have you sent them clients? Have you connected the dots for him? He said, yeah, absolutely. I do it because they're great service providers. So I always refer them. It says, now, have you ever picked up the phone and said, hey, I'm looking for multifamily in XYZ market. Is there any chance that some of your clients might be interested in selling? He found a deal overnight, but he didn't connect those dots that this is low hanging fruit. They're in your favor network. You can reach out to them and ask them for favor because you've earned it.
I don't know why people don't think this way. It seems so so basic. Like, why wouldn't we? We've got a problem. And when I have a problem, I think, all right, how am I going to solve it? And I think the mindset shift here is who in my network can solve this problem for me? What a beautiful and simplistic shift.
And there's a really simple way of doing it. So I put together a cohort. It's my first cohort. I have 30 of my friends in it. I had the coolest quote in the world. A buddy of mine, and he's tough. He's tough because he's like smart, like super genius when it comes to marketing. He said, I showed up week 1 as a friend to support you. I showed up week 2 because I got value out of week 1. I showed up week 3 and I left, and I'm making a list of people I need to introduce this to because it's so valuable. Like, to me, the value that he got out of it. So let me give you a translation of how the audience can activate this. A lot of people, for one of the exercises we were doing, put together your favorite network: friends, associates, vendors, organizations, relatives. They said they were really struggling to figure out who to put in there, find the names. For what I said, go through your text messages, your WhatsApp, your Telegram, your emails. Who have you been communicating with over the last 6 months? Those are people who probably need to be in your favor network because you're already communicating with them. They're not new introductions. They're warm or hot. That was one. And then the other one was looking at your calendar over the last 6 months. Where do you need to close the loop? Who did you have a conversation with that could help you with something that you're working on? Because again, they're currently in your orbit. You had a meeting with them. You had a conversation with them for a reason. So there might be relevant to what you're doing right now. Or who do you need to close the loop with that you had a meeting, a call, whatever it was, and you didn't close the loop? Go back and start closing these loops with people. Hey, following up. Did you get X, Y, and Z done? Or, hey, I saw this article. I think you should take a look at it. Or, hey, should we be continuing this conversation? Or do you want to wait like another quarter before we pick it up? People will respond and they go, oh my gosh, I dropped the ball. I didn't get back to you. It's that relationship drift is okay because they weren't a priority for you. You weren't a priority for them. But if you step back in, you can pick up where you left off, and then you can drive to that success to solve the problem that you need solved.
So you've alluded to this favor network, and I think that you recommend an intentional process of driving like these 25 relationships. So just tell me, like, how do you put together your favorite network? How do you look at that?
So I look at it as there should be 5 key people in each one of the categories: your friends, associates, vendors, organizations, and relatives. These are people who are problem solvers. And they're not necessarily going to get anything out of it. They just have a strong enough relationship with you and trust with you where they're going to be willing to pick up the phone and help you, whether they have the answer or they have somebody else in their network who has the answer for you. We are, what was it, 6 degrees, six phone calls away from Kevin Bacon. There was like some joke we did. And I can't remember the book that I read right now. It might have been the one, oh gosh, something Super Communicators. And they talked about the fact that we're really 2 or 3 degrees away from, 2 to 3 phone calls away from who we need to solve the problem that we have. Yeah. That's how we have to start. Like, look, it's kind of like, I want to make a pizza. You and I are hungry. We're hanging out on Friday night. We want to make a pizza. We get in the car, we go to the grocery store, we buy all the ingredients, get back in the car, drive back to the house, and we make the pizza and put it in the oven. But the entire time we wasted because we forgot to just look in the refrigerator and realize that all the ingredients are already there. You don't need new contacts. You need to activate the people who are already in your network. That's going to drive the success that you need. That's going to solve the problem that you have. The problem is we don't communicate well enough with our favor network to let them know what we need. We have to get in the habit of doing that. And that is learned because we are not taught that in business.
So let's break this down. 5 key relationships in each of the 5 categories. Friends, A stands for
Associates,
vendors,
organizations,
and
and
relatives.
relatives.
So you
Yes.
just take out F-A-V-O-R, you write out the 5 words, and you list the 5 people. You go through your Rolodex, you go through your text messages, you go through your Facebook and Instagram messages. You identify those people that you have a similar energetic frequency to. When their
Yes.
text message comes in, you smile versus click slide left, right? You
Yes.
build, we all have those people too. Don't put them in the network. And then you just intentionally, as you come across things that are valuable, you reach out to them, you say hi, you create some sort of ritual of nurturing that relationship to the point where when you need a favor, you've built that economic goodwill inside of those relationships. Have I got that right? What would you add to that?
Be intentional. And when I say be intentional, do this on a consistent basis. You might not think you're going to get anything out of it. I've had a friend that I met at 14 years old. I'm 42 years old now. 14 years old, Paige. We met at Presidential Classroom, which was a study program in DC, which made me realize after spending like 3 weeks in DC that I had no desire to go into politics. I was like, I am not going to be a politician. These people are crazy. And Paige ended up, and we stayed in touch for years, but it literally might be every 2 years. I'm like, Paige, how in the hell are you doing? I'm thinking about you. She's like, oh my God, I'm amazing. I'm doing XYZ. She ended up as head of the convention center at the downtown LA Convention Center. And at one point in time, I had one of my business partners who was looking to do a massive event for like 5,000 people. And she hooked it up when I called him because he needed to do something on the West Coast. The most random, obscure, like, is this going to actually mean anything? That's like really kind of like low on the totem pole. And I'm giving you that as an example because now just imagine if you're focusing on the 5 people in each one of those categories that you're much closer with, you have a reason to be in contact with them. What can flourish from that?
So we've talked about the why behind this, and I think we've talked about the how you set this up. Let's talk a little bit about the mistakes that someone could make when employing this framework. I'm guessing as entrepreneurs try to put this into practice, there's a few stumbling blocks. What would you say are the gotchas when applying this framework if you do it incorrectly?
Number one, making the ask too quickly. And number 2, which this one is, it takes people a while to get this, is low level ask for high level people. Don't ask for somebody to comment on your LinkedIn post. If there's somebody that you're better off waiting and saying, you know what, I know you know the CFO at this company, and I'm trying to do X, Y, and Z with the product or service that I provide. Can you connect me with them because I want to have that conversation with them? Don't spend your relationship capital on, depending on who it is, on low level ask. Make sure that you align, because also that person introducing you to that CFO who they're friends with, it makes them look good when they make a great introduction. So what they get out of it is the prestige factor of, oh yeah, you're my friend. I trust you. I know what you're doing. I like your product. It's super valuable. Whether or not you do business with that CFO, the fact that I reach out to her and I ask if I can introduce you, it makes me look good because I'm trying to help her in her business.
I think that's so good. What is the give? I'm going to use the word deposits because I think about relationships like making deposits in the savings account. And it's not that
Yes.
you have to like monetize every relationship, but this is part of being intentional. And by the way, you're going to be a better friend if you think about making deposits of value into that person's life, right?
Yes.
So what's the cadence or ratio of gives to ask that feels
Mhm.
good to you?
Me, it's two gives before you make an ask.
Got it.
Okay. And it could be, we actually in the cohort, we're doing reconnection. We, for the first couple of weeks we did, and there it's real-time activation. So we'll spend and do like a 10-minute workshop every single time where we give you a task, we provide scripts for you, because it's amazing how people just don't even know what to say. As a matter of fact, there was one gentleman who is part of the cohort, and he had been to a couple networking groups, and he had that relationship drift, a couple people he wanted to reach out to, and he's like, what do I put in the subject line? What do I say to them? And it's like reconnection from, immersion. Immediately then go, oh, I went to the immersion event in February, reconnection. All right, let's see who this is. You say, we had a really good conversation, and you know how you meet amazing people and you kind of drift apart and you don't really get as deep in the connection as you want to. I'd love to reconnect with you because I got so much value out of our conversation. Like, that's super powerful. That's going to hit somebody where they go, oh, we're totally aligned. Let's get on the phone and have a conversation. Or you meet someone at a certain place, or you're working on a deal with someone and you send them an article. You send them a connection with someone else. You add value to them first. So you're making deposits in that relationship bank. So then you start to align with that person. That alignment is very key in making sure that you earn the right to make an ask to that person. And people will say, oh, well, is that manipulative? No, it's not manipulative. It's strategic, because we want something out of everyone in every situation. Even if you donate all of the money that you have, millions of dollars to a charity, and you do it anonymously. If you sit back and you say, oh, that felt so good to give XYZ organization that $1,000,000, it's self-serving because it makes you feel good. But what's really important is that you have to serve yourself. You have to be 100%. And it was actually Oprah who said this. And, I always teetered the line of like, do I like Oprah? Is she kind of pedantic and obnoxious? Actually, I love her now because I understood her. And I understood her from this quote. She said, people told me for years that I'm so full of myself. And she says, I am full of myself. My cup runneth over. Because I'm at 100%, I can give 100% to everyone else.
Mm.
And for me, that was so powerful. So I give to get, but I give genuinely and authentically. If you're a piece of crap, I'm not giving to you, dude. I'm not going to help you. I'm not going to think about you. You're not in my favor network. So remember, it's not manipulating. It's supporting the people who are around you who will want to support you in return. And if they don't want to support you in return, that's when you have to make the decision whether or not there's someone you continue to give to.
So good, dude. I want to tie this into a practical example, because as I'm learning from you right now, and as I watched your keynote presentation that you did in immersion,
Mhm.
I started to connect some dots that, like, a lot of us might be doing this unintentionally, but have already can think back upon times where leveraging what Jarrod is teaching us has led to success. So I just want to kind of like bring this down to a practical level and
Mhm.
share a story around this, because I think it'll be helpful for folks. We
Mhm.
had an opportunity, Jarrod, to buy a building in 2020. That was at the time our largest investment that we have ever made. It was the Alpine Shopping Center in American Fork, Utah. And it's this giant retail building here. Targets like Famous Footwear, Big Five. We got a couple of banks out here, Target, Office Depot. It was a big purchase. It was the largest purchase that my family office had ever made.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden, we needed to come up with $6.5 million. And oh, we had 30 days to do it. Like,
Uh,
earnest money was going to go hard, in or out, make it happen. And I sat down to myself and I thought, all right, I can list some properties, I can sell some real estate, I can raise capital. Who are the people who are most likely to give me money in a very short period of time? Which, in all transparency, I was out over my skis a little bit in this deal. We were apartment building owners, we were medical office building owners, but this was a way more sophisticated deal than we'd ever done before, because now your leases are 98 pages being prepared by attorneys in New York, right? These are the professional attorneys preparing these leases versus a less sophisticated apartment lease. So I'm out over my skis. I need to raise a lot of money in a short period of time. And as I sat and contemplated that, the first thing I did was I went through my Rolodex. I went through my phone and I started making a list of people. I drove them to a Zoom meeting. I went through the investment analysis. And at the end of it, like 75% of the people were like, we're in. What's the minimum investment? What's the maximum investment? And we pulled the deal off.
Yes.
And I had done all that unintentionally. But now, as I saw you do your keynote and as I've contemplated it afterwards and today, I'm thinking like, okay, well, what could I do if I intentionally applied this framework and cultivated those people who it would leverage me up to the next big investment that may be over my skis?
This is the easiest way for self-employed business owners to qualify for a home loan without the headache. If you're a business owner or self-employed, you understand that sometimes banks just don't understand our complicated income structures and can make it a real headache to qualify for mortgage financing. But there's a better way. We specialize in home loans specifically for entrepreneurs, using your real income, not your after-tax deductible income, enabling you to qualify for a home loan much faster than traditional banks. If you're dreaming of buying a home, don't let traditional underwriting guidelines hold you back. When banks say no, NEO says yes. Click on the link in the description below to schedule your complimentary consultation now.
So the thing that's key there, pardon me, the thing that's key about that is those relationships, like you said, are already there. You have to determine what you need. You have to determine and set your goals. I set my goals in business entrepreneurially. My first thought after I set my goals is who can help me get there? We've heard who, not how. We've read all these books. It's all the same story. I'm not getting religious on you, but it all likens back to the Bible. And I have a whole shelf over here of books that I've read. It's literally things that were written 4,000 years ago, by the way, all the mindset stuff too. The reality is that if you get in alignment with people, you can make anything happen. So when you go out and you say, all right, I want to buy this building, your first thought is do I have what resources do I need to make this happen? It could be a resource of just a great attorney to negotiate a contract. It could be the resource of raising capital. It could be the resource of needing an operator to come in and operate that business and to increase your revenue overnight because they find some holes that are there. They can clean up the numbers, increase rents, whatever it is. Think about it first of who do I need? Then who in my network can help me get there? And it might not be the direct connection with somebody who's going to invest capital, but it might be somebody who knows people who could be real investors for you. They know, like, and trust you enough to pick up the phone and say, Josh has got a great deal. You need to get in on this. I want you to show up to this Zoom at 3:00 on Wednesday. And guess what? They show up because you're leveraging them and their relationship capital with this new person who might be a new relationship to you, but it's not really new because this other person's already connected to them.
That's right. I can't remember who came up with this framework, but that's called the triangle of trust.
Yes.
And the triangle of trust is I trust Jarrod. And if Jarrod can introduce me to somebody I don't know, but if he tells me I should trust them, I extend the trust I have to Jarrod to this new third party because of the triangle of trust. And I come into that relationship with a similar trust level because I trust Jarrod. So that's an incredibly smart point to point out. All right, I want to end the last 10 minutes of this time together and have you coach the entrepreneurs that are listening to this. If they want to double their income in the next 12 months without doubling their workload, what are the first 1, 2, or 3 steps that they should take to accomplish that?
First step, you need to do your F.A.V.O.R network builder, which I can give you the link to that you can include in this, that they can go do. And it's a free free product for you.
You
It's
literally like run them through the exercise of how to do that. That's fantastic.
I
Thank you.
run them through the exercise of how to do that. So I'd happy to gift that to everyone. And it's important that you do it because it doesn't matter what business you're in. You could be in a W-2 business, a 1099, you could be a doctor or a dentist or a janitor. It doesn't matter. You need to know who the resources are in your network, because you're going to start to come up with problems and issues. And then you automatically go, oh no, I know David, I know Josh, I know Susan. I can just pick up the phone and call them and they're going to help me figure this out or move the needle. So you need to do that F.A.V.O.R network builder. Again, friends, associates, vendors, organizations, and relationships. Now, for the entrepreneurs who are a bit more established, you all need to have a board of advisors. These aren't necessarily paid board of advisors. Now, for both of my businesses, I have board of advisors who have profits interest in my businesses. They add a ton of value because they open doors for me. Even if it's just a more casual board of advisor, you need that person who's the social navigator. You need the person who understands finance. You need the operations person. You need the legal person. And you need that person who just like is the general capital allocator, where they can give you advice on how to raise capital, who to go to, what the right structures look like. And we all already have those people in our networks. And the reason I go for people who are my senior, and I'll tell you why. There was a CEO of a major company that I consulted for, actually, excuse me, a major company. He was a hedge fund CEO. He said, the kids who work for me, nobody really comes and asks me for advice. I said, well, you kind of are a jerk sometimes, so they're kind of scared to come in. And he's like, yeah, I know I need to stop being so mean, but that's how my mentors taught me. Like back in the day, when he grew up in the 80s, like if your boss didn't make you cry when you left the office, they weren't doing their job. He says, well, it's not the same today. So you have to be, kid gloves sometimes. But he said, the kids don't come and ask me for favor. They don't come and ask me what to do and look for mentorship. People who have done it and done it successfully, the way that you add value to them is actually allowing them to impart what they've learned on their journey, the knowledge that they have on you, so you can be successful. Because there's nothing that feels better than helping someone else. So you don't even have to be afraid to make that ask. It doesn't have to be something casual where they're showing or formal where they're showing up every week. You have a coffee, a dinner, a Zoom call with your board of advisors once a month and say, this is what I'm working on. What do you guys think? Because they're eventually going to be like, oh, let me help you connect these dots. Or, you know what, I might invest in that with you. Or I want to take more active role in what you're working on right now. Let's talk about what that looks like. Let it manifest the way in which it's supposed to manifest. But that board of advisors is what every single major executive has. I'm not talking about a coach. I'm not talking about a mentor. I'm talking about people who are actively looking at your business from a different lens. And there's something that's really key. Everyone talks about, we've all heard about Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right over my shoulder here. Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. The common trait, which they don't lean into enough, is the connection with people, with mentors, with your board of advisors. Throughout, the common theme of the success that Rockefeller had, Rothschild had, all of the major families had, they all had board of advisors and they all had masterminds. Every single one of them. And when you close those doors, the things that happen behind those closed doors could be massive. So you've got that F.A.V.O.R network, you've got that board of advisor, and last but not least is to have a mastermind. I have a couple friends that I've talked to now for the last few years, 30 minutes, sometimes it's even 15 minutes. Once a week, we check in. The reason that you and I met at Immersion is because my friend Tessa, who I met years ago through another organization, we do a weekly mastermind at 2 p.m. Eastern every single Wednesday. She's like, you need to meet my friend Jesse Ray. Help him. He's doing some really cool stuff. Jesse connected, and I ended up coming to the Immersion event in February where you and I met. If it weren't for Tessa and our just weekly little check-ins that we do, mindset, deal flow, what we're working on, how we can support each other, it's moved mountains for me doing my little masterminds. And you should all have your own masterminds with people who are aligned with you and the success that you're driving to achieve.
So just to make this super actionable, identify the key people that you know who you think could be in an advisory role, help you in some capacity to double your business.
Yes.
And then create intentional check-ins with them. Maybe it's a
Yes.
golf outing, maybe it's a fun dinner, maybe you do something recreational, but start to get together with those people and create that economic goodwill inside of the relationships. And then as your business serves you up problems and challenges, you tap into that network to help you overcome those. Who do you know
Yes.
who can help me get through this? Is that the action steps?
That is the action steps. Yes.
Beautiful. Love it. I love that you've given the activator template and you're going to give us that. We'll make sure we link that into the show notes. This has been a phenomenal podcast. I know it's been great when the time is, I'm looked down, I'm like, shit, we're out of time. I thought we were 15 minutes into this. So how do people follow you, Jarrod? How do people learn more from you?
Questions, comments, complaints. My email is hello@buyingfavor.co, or my Instagram, and you can DM me. I actually respond to my DMs directly. It's Jarrod, Jarrod _Guy, GUY, Jarrod Guy.
And his Instagram is fantastic. There's tons of actionable examples around this stuff on there. So go in and digest that content. Make sure you follow Jarrod. Brother, it's been a pleasure. I'm glad to see you doing so well. You look handsome as ever. And I hope to see you again shortly. Are you going to be at a future immersion event, perhaps?
I will be at a future immersion event. Yes, sir.
Look forward to seeing you there, brother. And hope to have you back on the podcast in the future.
Looking forward to it.